Welcome to Tech House Brewery. This is our first video and I'd like to show you how I caught the bug of making beer. We're going to start with the simple kit. These are what I did for quite a while before I ever got into more extravagant ways of brewing beer. It's liquid malt extract. It's basically all grain beer that has been already made. They boil it down till it's like a thick syrup. They do hop it while they're doing their whole boil process. So there's some bittering hops in here. You won't get much for any aroma or flavor out of it, simply because these cans are so old and the hops just don't really hold up. Then we'll also need 2 kilos of dextrose. This is basically just a really fine corn sugar, and it dissolves really easily into the beer. You know, a lot of your macro beers like Budweiser and Coors and what have you, there's a lot of corn involved in making those. It's an easy product to get a hold of for them, and it just extracts really well. The sugars just hold up. That being said, I mean, this is pure sugar made from corn, and you're gonna get some of that flavor into your beer. Not a lot of people like it necessarily. If you do things like proper sanitization and have a good procedure, it's not a bad product in the end. I drank these for a long time before I started making more all grain batches. I'm gonna show you in future videos how to make this taste a lot better than just this simple kit. What we're gonna need for equipment is a 6-gallon fermenter. This is perfect for doing 5-gallon batches. What you want to do is have enough room for krausen above where your final wort is sitting. Also, I have a spigot installed on here. This is going to be used to transfer the final product into the packaging. So, you know, if I keg typically, I'm going to do a few bottles out of this batch. I haven't done it for a long time. It'd be just kind of nice to try and do something different. This needs to be sanitized. What I use for sanitizer is Starsan. It's simply an ounce per 5 gallons for a mixture. There's this built-in tool that's extremely handy that I never understood how it worked in the beginning. And all you have to do is squeeze the bottle and it fills up your measuring. It took me months before I realized that. I use a friggin' 1 ounce shot glass always for the longest time because I didn't know how to get the liquid in there. Then I have a bottle full of Starsan always on hand. I use it around the brewery all the time. It's just quick, easy sanitization. There is this old saying, don't fear the foam, because this stuff bubbles like crazy. Once you put liquid into there, this is gonna foam up and you're gonna think that it's soapy, but there's no flavor. Now, you're gonna need something to measure the specific gravity of your wort once it's done being made. So we use a hydrometer or we can use a refractometer. Now, the downside to a refractometer is once the alcohol is finished and it's now beer, it's harder to calculate and have an accurate reading with these. So I use Brewer's Friend online. It's a great website, free tool, and I can calculate with that, but I do prefer to use my hydrometer. Now I have just a cheapo digital thermometer. This is great. You need to pitch your yeast, ale yeast, at usually anywhere between 68 degrees Fahrenheit and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That just is kind of that happy place for yeast to be munching down all the sugars that are in your wort. So that's pretty critical in order to make sure you're ready to pitch your yeast. We're gonna need a spoon to stir up the wort with once we get it going. And then the last thing we're gonna need is a kettle. This is just to boil the water, and that's all we're gonna really need for your first brew. Let's get brewing our first batch of beer. This Cooper's Draft Ale. We'll get a kettle going. It's got 1.7 liters of water in there. It is filtered with a carbon filter. And now the true part of brewing is cleaning. We're gonna get this all sanitized up. Get this guy rinsed out. This is already a clean vessel, just not sanitized. So I have my bottle of Starsan, and I'll just spray everywhere inside of this. The inside of the lid as well. I'll do the lid probably 2 more times by the time we're done, because I get a little anal sometimes, or I forget that I even did it. Now while that boils, we have the big stirring spoon. You need to use this guy to whip it all up. Also needs to be sanitized. I have a 5-gallon pail that I always have on hand, and I can just get larger things sanitized easily and let it soak for a little bit. They recommend about 2 minutes of exposure for Starsan to actually be able to do what it needs to do. I have my airlock here. Just gonna drop that right in the bucket, and I will be sanitizing the probe as well once we get to pouring in the cold water to get this up to the temperature that we need to be at. We want all of the syrup out of here that we can get. So hot water, rinse it off. That's nice and clean. Get rid of it. Start dumping in the pre-hopped malt extract. Start scraping some of it out. We'll rinse this out with some hot water too. You might want to wear gloves. I've welded for years. My hands are used to the heat. Now that we have that in the fermenter, we can grab the dextrose, open it up. You can see how fine it is. It's almost like icing sugar. Start that whole amount in there. I'm going to use the rest of the water in the kettle, and I'm going to put a little bit more water back on boil again. So this is just some cold water to try and balance out that boiling water, so we can get to that pitching temperature of approximately 20 degrees Celsius, 7 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm gonna get this filled up to about 18 liters. We're gonna check the temperature because we're getting to the critical balancing stage of trying to get this to the right temperature. This is just cold tap water. Just gonna get this. I know we're a little on the cold side, I can feel it. Same, pretty bang on. We're right at 70. So we're gonna get this to the full 23 liters. This is scale is in liters on this fermenter. So we get it up there. I'm gonna add a little bit more hot. Finish it off with the cold. This mixed in nice. We're showing 73. I'm going to take a measurement with the hydrometer. Really hate to waste this stuff. It's only a 5-gallon batch, so as little as we can throw out, the better. We'll let that sit for a minute, let the sanitization work, and we'll pull a sample. I don't like wasting any of the product because it's only a 5-gallon batch. You know, this is enough volume that it's a few sips out of your beer, right? So I've sanitized it, ready to go. I'm gonna just turn this here so I can pull a sample off. Right, according to the instructions, we should be at 1.038 for a starting gravity. We're a little higher according to my hydrometer here. We're sitting at about 1.041. It will be a little bit stronger alcohol than what they think it will be, but it's well within range. Get the sample poured back in here. We'll sanitize the yeast packet. And my scissors. We'll just sprinkle it on top. Some people like to rehydrate their yeast. It's rehydrating right now, so I don't find the point in it myself. But it is debatable. Get my airlock full of Starsan. Get her in there, and we'll come back in about 2 weeks. We should have beer. Thanks for watching.